Well, welcome everyone to another episode of CMPAC Spotlight. Thank you so much for joining us. Or today, whenever you're watching, we have another amazing show featuring another amazing producer and the shows that they produce. So tonight with me is Bishop Betty Reid, who produces the show A Word of Light. So Miss Betty, Bishop Betty, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Very good to have you. And I wanted to know, how long have you been ministering?
I have been ministering about, ministering itself has probably been like 27 years.
Wow. Yeah, and I know it takes a process where you get to the point of being a bishop.
Yes.
So 27 years is quite a long time. Yeah.
Yes,
seasoned.
it is. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes time. It takes time.
So when did you feel like you needed to bring your ministry on the platform of video and film production and using this platform here?
Well, years ago, I had a radio ministry.
Okay.
And that was during the time of WGIV.
Okay.
And so they sold it. And so, but the name of that was A Word of Light.
Okay.
And so years later, the Lord began to deal with me and let me know to do the TV. And so even in that, he let me use that same name,
Okay.
A Word of Light. So that's how that came about.
Okay. So radio and television, you know, that's very similar because, of course, it's broadcast. And the difference would be, of course, radio, you're just hearing, listening, and now we see you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how did you make the transition?
Well, I just stepped into the spotlight. I just moved forward, just advance. I had been watching Access 21.
Okay.
I had been watching it.
Okay.
And seeing other people. And then I knew some people that was coming down to the station. And so I just decided, it just hit me. I'm going. And so I just came and it worked out.
Well, it sure did work out. I was going to ask you how you learned about community television. So you were watching.
I was watching.
And you knew some people down here.
Yes.
Were you ever a guest on anyone's show?
Yes, I was a guest on Miss Beth.
Oh, okay. All right. So what was going on at that time that, you know, maybe you were ministering on or talking about?
Yes, me and her talked about the proverb woman.
Oh, okay. All right.
And so just talking about the proverb woman, how she got up early and laid down late at night. And she was a virtuous woman. You know, she cared for her children, her husband, she took care of home. So we talked about things like that.
Very good. So now you did say that your program was called A Word of Light on radio and then transitioning to television.
Yes.
So why did you even call it A Word of Light?
Well, because God is light. So he gave me that. He's light.
Okay.
And so when you're giving a word, you're giving light. So by me giving that word, people are hearing and it shines light.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so that's the main reason for that. The word is light. When you hear the word, the more you hear it, the more God reveals and open up. And it's like a light bulb going off in your head.
Wow.
I never know that.
Yeah.
I never heard it like that before. So he's opening up that revelation.
Right. So what kind of feedback have you gotten from your viewers?
Well, I have gotten some, but not a whole lot at this time.
Okay.
But a lot of our members and people that knows me, I've gotten feedback, and they've told me how they really have been blessed. I have this one couple, they say they watch it a whole lot.
Really?
And I didn't know it. Actually, this gentleman and his mother, my husband was doing work for them, and he came to our ministry, and he said, I woke up early in the morning and my mother was watching you on television.
Wow.
And I was like, really? He said, yes. And that was on a Sunday morning.
Wow.
See, I'm not on Sundays.
Okay.
But if God means for you to be a place, you're going to be a place.
This is true, yeah.
And so I was on early that Sunday morning. I was like, well, okay, Lord.
Isn't that something?
And I even came home
Okay.
on a Sunday,
Okay.
and I was on.
Wow. Well, you know, we do have what's called CMPAC Rewind. We have video on demand where people can just go to the website and pull up different
Yes.
programs. So, like you said, your show must have fallen into one of those categories and you were on when you were supposed to be on.
Yes,
So it sounds like that's some feedback that you received.
it is.
You know,
Yes.
kind of let you know that you're in the right place at the right
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of our members watch it. So
Okay.
I'm not saying I haven't had any, but I've had a lot of people tell me they've seen me.
They've seen you.
A
Okay.
lot of people, and so it's been pretty well. It's been good.
That's good. Well, talk to us a little bit about the process that you go through, because of course, when I've watched your program, I see you at your church.
Yes.
And I see the camera is focused on you.
Yes.
And it's enough room to show where you want to go, how you feel like moving around.
Yes.
There's enough room in the shot to get all of that. So talk to us about some of the behind the scenes things that you have to go through in order to put your program on.
All right. So my deacon at our church, he does the filming.
Okay.
He does that, him and his wife.
Okay.
And they just, they have everything set up like I asked them. And they just film it all the way through. And at first it was a little difficult because we had never done it. So,
Right.
But they learn, and they moving along pretty well now. So it hadn't been very hard, but we had to get it where it looked nice.
Right, right. Well, you bring up a good point about how sometimes it may be a little bit difficult.
Yes.
Because if you're not in the industry, a lot of times you may not know exactly what you need to do.
Exactly.
But when you come here, and as you have come here, as our other producers have come,
Yes.
and our crew members who we're not seeing right now, but they're doing a lot of great work.
Yes.
So when you come here, you learn to do that.
I did.
And then your parishioners or those who are doing your video, they stepped up to the plate.
They did, because I could tell them how we did here.
Right,
So,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
So I could tell them how, when I was here in the class, taking up things, how we did, and how, I let them know, you want to keep it steady.
Right.
You want to be centered in the right place.
Right.
So I did learn that from here.
Yes.
And also, once we do that, I come here and I do the editing, because I did take the editing class.
Very
and became a
good.
certified editor.
Yes, well, you are just making strides.
Yes.
You make sure that whatever you say, the content is on there, is what needs to be
Exactly.
said. And then, of course, using the platform of television, video production, you have to know what to do with that to get yourself on.
That's right.
So that's good.
And this was very new for me. I had
Really?
never did it. So this was like a first start of something new for me to be able to come to Access 21.
Right.
And I can say it was great.
Well, that's good.
I really, really enjoyed coming, learning something new, and everybody just helping, and just on point. So it's been a blessing, and I'm still coming.
Right, right. Well, I'm so glad you're here today. And when we talk about some of the other things that we can do and the things that we need to learn,
Yes.
we have social media.
Yes.
So do you utilize that as well?
I do sometimes.
Sometimes
I do.
YouTube, do you do YouTube?
No, I haven't started that yet, but
Okay.
I am finna start a part.
Okay.
I'm gonna do that.
All right. Well, that sounds good because of social media. I was at a birthday party over the weekend, and the teenagers were on their phones while we were doing some other
Yes.
activities, with some of our elders, and so it's right there in their hands. And so,
Yes.
how do you propose to maybe reach some of our youth, bringing them up?
So right now, we're working on that.
Okay.
To get a bigger plan for us, the youth. I have a desire to reach the youth, but we also have younger people that we're trying to work with where they can step in
Okay.
and help the youth.
Okay.
So that we're working toward that. Due to the pandemic,
Right.
everything has slowed down, and now you're trying to pick back up and move forward.
Right. Right.
So, but that is one of our goals, because we used to have big events outside where it obtained, for the youth. We would do that. We would feed them. Just have all kind of different events.
Yeah.
So they would know that they're loved.
That's good. That's good. And you, of course, mentioned the pandemic.
Yes.
And everybody has had to adjust and make some transitions with whatever we were used to doing.
Exactly.
We need to make transitions and readjust.
Yes.
So what do you think are some lessons that we have learned in addition to slowing down? What would you say?
Well, I did learn this. The Lord dealt with me from the book of Mark.
Okay.
From Mark 4:35 on down to 41. And, the pandemic was like a storm. And it was if he said to me, we're crossing over to the other side. We had to cross over all this COVID. So many came, so many different kinds. COVID this, COVID that. And he let me know, keep your focus. Just keep on moving because we're going to get to the other side.
Yeah.
And so even in that, he let me know, don't fear. A lot of people, fear gripped them so.
Yeah.
But he let me know, don't walk in fear because even in the pandemic, I'm still God.
Yeah.
And so he let me know, just keep moving. And we was blessed because we never had an outbreak of COVID in our church. We never had that. So, and I use Psalm 91 and 10. No plague shall come nigh our dwelling. And I read that constantly, put it in the airways, in the ministry, and none of our people had no big outbreak. So it was a blessing, but the main thing he let me know, don't fear. That even through this, we're going to get over it. We're crossing over. We're going to still cross over. We know we lost a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he said, we still going to cross over.
Yeah.
We're going to the other side.
Yeah.
And so that was what I gave the people back then because that was what he gave me.
Right.
And he was letting me know, don't fear. Don't walk in fear. And we have to remember, he's still in control. And when things are happening and going through, I believe that sometimes fear can cause us to fall away, because even now some people it's not in church anymore. Some people said they won't even open their doors again.
Yeah.
But God wants them to know that he's still God. And they can go back. They can go back because he's God and he'll make it work for them.
Well, there's a lot of things in that, and
It is.
I want to unpack some things.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of people who are listening who did lose someone.
Yes.
Whose dwelling it did come to.
Yes. Yes.
And to hear us talk about God and how this happened, your people didn't get it, but they're saying, but what about what happened with me?
Yes.
And how they're supposed to move forward. So Bishop, what would you say to people?
I would say to them, just know whatever happened, God love you. And he don't make no mistakes. He don't make no mistakes. So, don't think God forsake you because it was something that took place. So what you do, you take from that and learn from it. But number one, just remember, he said he never leave us nor forsake us. He said he'd be with us even until the end of the world. So like he say, my task might have not been the next person's task, but he love us the same. He love us the same.
And one thing I know I have thought about is the fact that there were a lot of people who left this earth. And those of us who are still here, we have some things to do.
We got some things to do.
And to really pay attention to what is happening in our world. And there's a lot.
It's a whole lot.
There's a lot.
It's a lot.
And I feel like, I think we were talking before we hit the airwaves about the fact I feel very enthusiastically burdened
I heard you
with
say
what
that.
I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
And knowing that I'm still here. And I feel like I would have been ready to go.
Yes.
But I'm glad that I can do some more things because I see some things that are not right there at your eye.
Yes.
And this has made me think quite a bit about the deeper things of life.
Exactly.
and not fearing.
Yes.
That's one thing.
Yes.
You know, also really stepping out there to do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
So when you feel like you're doing what you're supposed to do and you are ministering hope,
Yes.
what are some nuggets of hope that you can share with people?
Trust.
Okay.
He spoke to me. He said, you got to learn. See, learning to trust God.
Okay.
You got to learn how to trust him. See, because if you trust him, you know there's hope in God. So even in this, sometime the enemy will try to make people lose their hope. See, but
And
if
who's the enemy? Who are we talking about the enemy?
well, you know who the enemy is?
Who are we talking about? Let people know who
We're
you're talking about.
the devil.
Okay.
We talking about the devil himself. And he's the enemy. He's the enemy of our soul. And if we lose hope in God, we don't have anything. So he wants us to keep the hope, keep trusting in him. You know, because even though a lot happened in the pandemic, well, on a personal level, it's other things that can happen.
Right.
That can cause us, where the enemy will come in and try to make us lose our hope. Even during this COVID time, I lost my spiritual mother.
Okay.
I lost my nephew. So that was hard.
Right.
You know, she raised me in the gospel. And I went to her house that morning. And I called her. I said, how are you? I said, I'm coming to see you because she had been sick. And so she said, I said, I'm not coming to the church because she was having her nephew a memorial service.
Okay.
And so she said, no, I need you to come to the church with me.
Okay.
And so I said, okay. So, but the Lord directed me to go to her house, and she really did need me. So I helped her get things together. And then she went on to the church, and I had prayed with her, and she said, and she looked at me, she said, I'm not hurting like I was. So after everything was over, she said, I'm going home and lay down. The next thing I know, she's in the hospital.
Wow.
And me and her daughter was the last ones to see her. And she went on to glory.
Wow. And this was not COVID related. It was something else.
It was something else.
Okay.
And
yeah.
also my nephew, it was something else. We found him in the house dead, alone.
My goodness.
So, you know, that's why I say, you know, it can be challenging with different things. So, you know, I want people to know it might have not been that, but we've been through some things.
Exactly.
And, but there is hope. There's hope. Abraham hoped beyond hope. See, because the Lord had promised him something. And I know it's probably somebody listening right now. God has promised you something. And it seems like it's not coming. But if they just hold on, God's going to come through. He's going to come through. And, you know, I say even in the pandemic and going through, the Lord told me and my husband, sell your house and pay off the church.
Wow.
We paid it off.
Wow.
Paid it off. And because you want to be faithful to the Lord, you want to do what he say. And you know, it was something to think about, but we was glad to be able to obey and do it.
Absolutely. So did the Lord give you some nuggets as to why he wanted you to do that?
Yeah, see, because so much was going on at that time. We didn't want to lose the church. We didn't want to lose it. So he said, take your home and sell it and pay it off. So that's what we did. Therefore, by not having service a lot, like you say, people being frightened.
Right.
Everybody don't have the same level of faith.
That's true. That's true. And there's also, with these other methods and other platforms, people can still get
That's
what they
right.
need to get if
That's
they don't
right.
go in person. And to hear you speak right now,
Yes.
I think, you know, people are tuning in. They're going to tune in to you and your individual program. So,
Amen.
yeah, so I'm glad that you're going to keep on doing what you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, because I do the main reason I do that, because I want to see people saved.
Right.
I want to see people delivered and set free. It's not a show. It's not a game. It's ministry. And I know people need help. I needed help one day. And I was so tired of living the life I was living. And I met these people. And I tell you, they started inviting me to church. My spiritual mom and the evangelist. And I'm here 30-something years later.
Really? So you from Charlotte?
I am.
So you were here in Charlotte, and you kind of what you were saying. You were tired of living the way you were living. Tell us a little bit more about that and the whole process of meeting your spiritual mother.
Okay, I will share this.
Yeah.
Me and my husband, he dealt drugs.
Okay.
And so sometime we did those drugs.
Okay.
And so I say it was the Lord set us up. He did not allow us to continue to live that way. So I wind up back in my mother's home.
Okay.
And the evangelist lived right in the back.
Okay.
And so the lady would come and blow a horn, bum, bum, and we'd be like, who is that with that horn? But that was the pastor.
Okay. Okay.
And so they started inviting me to church and kept on inviting me to church. And I went. And I looked around. I had never been into a church where it was in a big house.
Oh, okay.
And so I had the nerve to say, Lord, is this you? And he snatched me up out of my seat. And I said, well, I don't have to ask you that again. I never had shouted anything in my life.
Oh, so that's what you mean by snatched you out of your seat.
I got up and began.
You got happy.
Yes.
Okay.
I praised the Lord. He snatched me. And I was like, oh my God. Okay, Lord. So I didn't have to ask him that anymore.
Okay.
I knew I was in the right place.
Okay.
And I stayed there, and he began to raise me up. And then he began to let me know, okay, it's time for you to get your ministry so you can go out and help other people. Because of what you've been through, you can draw other men in.
Right.
And so, you can have compassion.
Right.
And you don't look down on people because you don't know who you gonna need.
Right. Right.
And by you telling other people your story, then you can help people. And your story, mine may be totally different, but he still can use us in whatever way he chooses.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you unpacked that, because there are some people who are listening who need to hear that.
Yes.
I believe that during the pandemic, a lot of people may have slipped into some things.
Backsets.
Yeah, whether it's that or maybe the first time that people just were trying to deal and cope
just
in
so
a way that
frightening.
was tangible for them.
Yes.
And so you're talking about having come out of that even before a pandemic,
That's
right. Even before the depression of losing your loved ones. I had a student who lost several members of his family to the point where he couldn't continue his classes here.
Lord have
and had to
mercy.
start doing some new things. And so, depression can sit in on people.
Yes. And like you said, we've lost so many people.
Yeah.
We really have.
Yeah.
But in all of that, he's still God.
Yeah.
And I know it's not easy. I'll be the first to say I know it's not easy losing loved ones. Like you say, you had the gentleman to lose so many of his family members. And actually, my baby caught COVID about 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
He was 35 Friday.
Oh, really?
And he said, Mama, it was hard.
Yeah.
But the Lord brought him through it. He did. He caught it. But I truly thank the Lord he took care of him through it.
Absolutely. And there's more to do, right?
So
whether
much
you
more.
caught it or not, regardless as to what people are doing about dealing with it, there's a lot more to do.
It's so much. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot more to do for us helping people.
Right.
And pulling them out. Like you say, somebody's in a dark place right now.
Right.
But if they just hold on and trust the Lord, he will deliver and set them free. Because I know that this time has took people into a dark place.
Yeah.
But he's here today to bring them out. If they would just trust him.
Right.
Just reach back out. Some people have got their hands like that. But if they just say, Lord, here I am again. I'm going to trust you one more time. He'll bring them out.
Amazing.
He'll bring them out.
Well, speaking of bringing out and transitioning, as you mentioned earlier, what are some things that you may be able to share with us about what you're going to be doing in the future, your assignments in the future?
Well, the first thing is I am Bishop-elect Reid.
Okay.
So in August, the second week of August, I will be being ordained as Bishop Reid.
Okay.
And I've been on trial basis for 1 year.
Okay.
That year has already been. My husband will be ordained as Overseer Reid. And we'll be just tag teaming. And the Lord let me know that he's going to allow me to birth churches. We're going to be going around birthing churches and helping people to help other people.
Okay.
Because, you know, it's not just on one person. It's larger than me.
Teamwork.
It's teamwork. So that's, and like you said, we want to reach the youth. So we setting up something for that, to be able to help the youth, to be able to move forward, you know, and people struggle in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
So in those areas, we want to be able to help people and let them know you don't have to stay there.
Right.
He's got enough to bring you out.
That's good. That's
Got
good.
enough to bring you out. So we got a lot of stuff that we're working on.
Okay.
Hadn't come to the forefront yet, but we're working behind the scenes to be able to get established and help other people.
Isn't that something that's similar to what you were saying about what God's doing, working behind the scenes, and for people to just trust? You know, isn't that one of the nuggets I heard you say?
Yes, trust him.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. He wants us to trust him. That's what he spoke to me. He said he wants us to trust him.
Okay.
And, you know, I know every so often they might say, well, this one is coming out, that one is coming out. But he wants us to know, even as Psalm 31:10 said, that no plague shall come nigh our dwelling. And I said, if it comes, it's got to die. See, so that's where the trust come in. God not going to let this overtake me, overwhelm me. So that's what he wants us to do. He wants to get our trust back, because it was a hard blow. I won't deny that. It just seemed like it happened all of a sudden, boom.
Right. That's so true. And, you know, everyone is still dealing with that and so many other things. So I want you to tell everyone when they can see you, when your show airs. Look into the camera, let them know.
My show airs every first and third Monday of the month, 6:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. God's Lighthouse International is the name of our church. And even as we talk, the show is a word of light. Come on and let the light shine on you.
All right. Bishop, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We could talk more, and we will at a later time. We'll close this one out. And again, thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for joining us for this episode of CMPAC Spotlight once again. And go to our website at tvaccess21.com. Look up several of the programs that you see on our channel. You can look on video on demand. And again, join us the next time for CMPAC Spotlight right here. We'll see you then.